Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and BaltimorePositive.com. We're trying to be positive here this week. We're doing something that's positively extraordinary next week. We are, in lieu of Radio Row and going out to Las Vegas, we've dreamed up a new promotion here that I'm hoping to be the first of many years. We're calling it Crab Cake Row, a cup of soup or bowl of soup. We'll be giving you a cup of soup or bowl of soup of Maryland crab, cream of crab at all of our locations. Doing live radio from 9 until 5 next week, all day long. Stop by, see us. We're doing it for the Maryland Food Bank. Free cup or bowl of soup if you bring something good for the Maryland Food Bank. We're going to be featuring 100 different charities next week. A lot of our friends, a lot of people coming by. I thought the Ravens would be in the Super Bowl. I have my fingers crossed to think that on Monday we kick things off at Fadley's. Tuesday we're going to be at Costas. Wednesday at Coco's. Thursday at State Fair in beautiful Catonsville and Frederick Road. I have my State Fair shirt on. And then on Friday up at Pappas in Cockeysville. And I thought some guys would be coming back to town and alums. We had people running around all weekend. I was inviting alums on. Last week we had Brian Billick, we had Brandon Stokely, we had Marvin Lewis come by, Joe Flacco came by last week. And then this week I'm like, I'll chase down guys I couldn't find last week. Dwan Edwards and I tried to make the streams connect last week and didn't happen. Of course, you remember Dwan as a former second-round draft pick here who went on to Buffalo and Carolina, played in the Super Bowl. But, dude, you were about to get on our bus to the Super Bowl 5 years ago to Miami because people don't know when you guys disappeared, you make babies and stuff, and you turn your kids into Ravens fans wherever they are, right?
Yes, of course. Of course. I had a lot of heartbroken kids yesterday sending pictures of the games and just very fond memories of the Ravens, hoping they would have kept it going and riding all the way to the Super Bowl and with the Lombardi Trophy. Unfortunately, it didn't happen Sunday.
Well, I booked you on last week for Monday to be here for celebratory radio, all that. Give me a breakdown of the game as you see it. I mean, we talked a lot about losing composure. I think you were on the team in Detroit when everybody lost their mind, and you're nodding your head.
Yes,
you had some games where you're like, and I remember being in that locker room. And Brian and I were famously close. He didn't even want any part of me after that, and I didn't want any part of him. I was like, oh my God, I ain't never seen Brian like that. And the coach was losing his composure. I mean, literally. And it breaks down quickly because y'all are emotional. You're all dudes. Y'all want to win. It's competitive.
No doubt. Everything on the line. And yeah, unfortunately, you're probably going to look back at the coach, when you see those unforced, undisciplined type of penalties in games, and they end up costing, unfortunately, Zay Flowers, a young guy, a rookie, obviously, tremendously emotional, big playmaker for them. And, in those big moments, he just hadn't been there before. And it's unfortunate that those situations happen. But they're all learning experiences. And, unfortunately, it seemed like that cost them. But for me, I would definitely say that the rushing attempts and just not, a lack of trying to run the ball just seemed a little bit crazy. And I got to give a shout out to Kansas City defense at the end of the day, because they played tremendous. And I think exactly what everyone didn't want to happen was the Chiefs got up a lead on us and, kind of put us, up against the ropes. And it was tough to watch our team not be able to handle, that type of adversity.
I think the hardest thing is, you played in the league a decade trying to be on a team this good, right? You were on a couple of really good teams, right? Around here, and had opportunities. And I was out in Santa Clara last week and thinking about your game. And one time I went to a game out there. Just I thought of the Eminem song because they've been playing it a lot with Detroit. You get one chance in a lifetime, right? You might not get another opportunity, and that is the hardest part in the Baltimore circumstances. We didn't have an AFC Championship game since 1971. I'm 55. You don't have to tell me how hard it is to get a home AFC Championship game, how hard it is to be the number one seed. I've been waiting forever through every Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, even the Flacco era here. It's hard to be the best team, and they were the best team this year. And to come up empty in that case, that's when you're expected to win. And we haven't had a lot of that around here, Dwan. That where they were expected to win.
Yeah, exactly. it felt like we were the best team all year long, and that's unfortunate. And coming from experience, 2015, 2016 Carolina Panthers, I felt like we were the best team all season. And unfortunately, that's why you play the games, and the games have to be decided on the field. And you brought up names like Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger. In 12 seasons, 4 of probably the best teams that I've been on. One year getting shocked as the 1 seed with Steve McNair, obviously 13-3, end up losing to the Colts at home after a bye. Peyton Manning again.
That was one of the worst nights of my life. My wife has video of me blubbering that night because she thought she was being creative, and I would say something at midnight after the game that would be after being in the locker room with you guys. I mean, I've expressed to people about Ray Lewis sobbing that night. Like literally, Ray was unavailable to the media because he just couldn't compose himself. Like literally, it was an awful, awful night, and people here this week it brought that up and saying that was the darkest night. And we lost championship games. We had the Cundiff, Lee Evans. We lost it. But losing a home game where your fans walk out thinking all year, this is our year, this is our year. The year we won, we got our ass kicked in December and Flacco was planking. You didn't think you're the best. You felt the Mile High Miracle, all those things that happen along the way. But when you're the best team and you don't win, there's just something. And it happens often. It happens a lot in hockey. It happens in baseball. It happens in every sport.
And that's why you play the game. And that's why the game of football is so great. And, that's why the people in Vegas make so much money, and sports betting is what it is, because you never know. And like I said, I got to give a hats off to the Chiefs defense. And obviously at Patrick Mahomes, they had an amazing game plan, ball control, and moving the football, obviously scored early in the game and, put the pressure on the Ravens. And it just, like I said, just kind of a loss of composure and, penalties, all a part of it. But, like you said, when you feel like it's your time, it's your team, you've got all the pieces in place, and every year is different. And you can't really build much on that year and take that into next year. I mean, there's going to be some fuel, obviously, to the fire for guys to get back, but the team's going to be different. Injury situations, salary cap, coaching moves, like it'll never be the same team again. And that opportunity, is gone. And that's what makes it so great and so hard to deal with.
All you guys, I get mixed up. After 28 years of knowing every one of you until I was thrown out about 2 years ago, after 28 years of doing it, it all blends together as to when you came and when you were here and what you were part of and what you weren't. I mean, you were part of the early Flacco era and AFC Championship game. I think you weren't available that year, but in 2009, you talk about getting eliminated by Roethlisberger, by Peyton Manning. The fans got eliminated too and watched all that and would say, well, is our quarterback good enough? Are we in a good enough situation? How much money do we have invested once we won and had Flacco? It's the other players. It's a very sophisticated thing from a salary cap standpoint that the Ravens were this good this year and that they were this healthy this year, and the Van Noys and the Clownies and just getting incredible value out of Kyle Hamilton on a rookie deal and Tyler Linderbaum and Zay Flowers. Like all of that is there. And this was the year to make that happen. And I expressed that all along. And now it's like, all right, your guy Matabike, who has, reached the ceiling of your position in the world, is going to get paid either by them and franchise, but it's going to affect the whole roster if they want to keep the band together.
No doubt. And that's the interesting part of football. And luckily, the Ravens are a first-class organization, and they do well in the draft and, feeling like what they do best for the team to keep it together and keep it competitive. But yeah, it does feel like a missed opportunity, and there's always so many moving parts. And I just kind of put I went there in 2004 right after Kyle Bowler was drafted. So I had Kyle Bowler for a few years, went into Steve McNair and drafting Joe Flacco. And, for a minute we thought Troy Smith was going to be the guy. The whole just quarterback trying to find a guy, and Flacco obviously comes in, and Steve McNair retires, and just Joe Flacco took off from there. But yeah, for the Ravens, just to consistently be in the playoffs and have opportunities, and just feel like this was our year. It's disappointing, and it'll be a learning lesson for Lamar. Hopefully going forward, hopefully that'll make him better, and he'll have an opportunity to redeem himself.
Dwan Edwards is here. He was a longtime Raven, went off to Buffalo, and then played in the Super Bowl at Carolina. You lived down in Carolina, right? But
yes.
not a native at all. Tell everybody where you grew up. Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Montana.
I know you are. That's why I wanted to ask you.
Big sky country, God's country, and I hope to get back there at some point, at least to have me a vacation place or a place to get away in case we have another COVID or something. But I need some land up there to get away, because this is definitely a beautiful place to grow up.
Well, I'll say this. Since the last time, I think I told you, my buddy moved to Great Falls, Montana in 1992, and I went and visited him in February of 1992.
Bless you.
Well, it was like 70 degrees the day I landed. It was like one of those sort of weird days, and it was 20 below when I left. Like literally, it was 100-degree difference in the 6 days I was there. But we went to see Pearl Jam. They were like a new, cool, happening rad band in Missoula.
Yeah.
This is at the Harry Adams Field House under the Big M in Missoula.
Yeah.
And I did that as a very young. Were you even alive in '92? Because you young guys, I don't even know. 92, 93. So this is a long time ago. About 5 years ago, right after my wife had cancer at 14, 15. She got better. I think it was about 16 or 17. It was a summertime. Pearl Jam played the stadium, the Grizzly Stadium in Montana, and they were doing like stadium tour, Seattle, other places. I said to my wife, all right, this is the Yellowstone trip. This is the one we're going to do. And we flew into Boise, and we drove east into Idaho Falls through this crazy Craters of the Moon Park in Idaho that everybody in the world should see because it's wild. And then we went up into Yellowstone, man. Like we did Bozeman, we did Big Sky. There were forests. I saw a legitimate fire, like not a little fire on a hill. I'm talking
wildfire.
Like wildfire, out of control, couldn't breathe, soot coming out of the sky. I thought about that goof that ran the country talking about raking leaves and how stupid that is to say, because you go out and see all of this stuff. But I went to Spokane. How do you leave Montana when you're in Montana, Dwan Edwards? How do you not go back? I don't even know where the hell Columbus, Montana is. I'm Googling it right now. Where is it?
It is about 40 miles west of Billings, Montana, which would be the largest city. Probably 100 miles west of Bozeman, actually. Probably about an hour and a half west of Bozeman.
I'm looking at that. Yeah, like you're
east of Bozeman.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, south central Montana.
But you're not far at all from Yellowstone, though, and like all that really cool stuff.
No.
All right. Well, you got to take your family on a little. I mean, now they've got the TV shows and all that. You did that?
I did that. Took my kids up through Yellowstone. Did the Beartooth Highway. It's beautiful. Yeah, I recommend that to anybody.
I recommend that to anybody too. And I spent my life in cities. I didn't even know how beautiful the rest of the world could be. I want to talk to you about, I was out in Santa Clara near the stadium, and I thought about the one day I was there and you were there, and Lady Gaga crushing that national anthem. It was the best national anthem I've ever heard in my life. Do you think about that, when with the opportunity and the loss? And I would think more than that, Cam Newton at that point, that season that you witnessed from the sideline of him going up and down the field, he was about as good as it gets. And it reminds me a little bit of how different Lamar is and weird it is and like all of that. He was just great, and that window closed. And I look, I was an Eagles season ticket holder, and Randall Cunningham was a quarterback. I've been through every Kyle Bowler and all the quarterbacks you've talked about. It's so hard to win that you have to capture it when you have it. And I did think about you when I booked you on, and thinking about, came close, man. I mean, you had your day, right? Literally.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think about it daily. It's hard not to, especially around Super Bowl time. And it's so hard to get there, let alone, to win it. Only one team gets to do it. And like I said, Cam Newton was great all year. And they're special, different quarterbacks. And you worry about Lamar's health and, how hits will affect him, going forward, and how long you'll have him available, how long his athleticism will be able to carry him. I mean, you hope he's able to progress, and get better, and, not necessarily need to take off and run like he does. But, the window closes. And obviously after you pay a quarterback, the depth goes a little bit out the window, and, you're not allowed to put as many pieces, and that quarterback's got to be great. And, we're kind of finding that out how many quarterbacks are worth the money to overcome what a team will be able to put around him. And it seems like a lot of teams are going, younger, trying to get that young quarterback and, put a great team around him, kind of like the 49ers. But then you got special guys like Patrick Mahomes that just seem to find ways to win and are really special.
Yeah, we underestimated him around here last week. We sort of forgot a little bit about him, right?
Yeah, and like his resume doesn't give him enough credit. But yeah,
4 Super Bowls. He's 28.
And I got to think about that too. Playing in the age of Brady and Manning, Roethlisberger, where these guys go. One of these guys is going in there, and there might be one feel good story where a team, really bands together and they have a special season that bonds them together, and it's just a special run. But man, these elite quarterbacks find their way in the game somehow, some way. We saw that again, and unfortunately, the Ravens were on the losing end.
Anything on Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift? You got anything to say about the Chiefs at all? Beyond Mahomes? Man, well coached. I'll just say that. Like Spagnuolo and the way they knew John and the way I will continue to go back to composure, Dwan. You were always a really level-headed guy. And as I pointed out, you were around the day that Bart and Suggs and Coach, everybody lost their minds. You were on that team. You were in that huddle. That this can't happen. You can't win that way, right? Literally.
Yeah, and coaching. They've been there before. They have Patrick Mahomes. They believe they can do it. They know what it takes. And yeah, Travis Kelce and the whole Swift thing. It's screaming scripted and a money making thing for the NFL. I don't know how they do it, but oh man, it's tough that it was my former team. Obviously, a lot of the people still work there that are still there from when I played, and I root for the Ravens and the people there. So you want them to win, so especially for the city of Baltimore. The fans are great. You want it for them so bad, and it almost hurts, and it makes me feel the same way when I lost the Super Bowl. The same kind of sick feeling because those opportunities just don't come, and you just hope that you get another one. But I will say San Francisco, same thing. Obviously lost a tough Super Bowl, and here they are back again. And hopefully, they're able to redeem themselves and get that win.
Talk about guys staying cool. Purdy, right? Down 17 points. Doesn't have the pedigree for any of this, but he has ice in his veins, and that there's something to be said for that.
And people are going to talk about you till you do it, and until Brock Purdy, until Lamar Jackson get over that hump and actually do it, they're going to continue to question, what you're able to do. And I feel sick for Lamar because, those questions are going to continue to be answered until, he proves it. But yeah, Brock Purdy, talk about poised and, just coming up big when he needed to and making plays for his team. I gotta salute them. It was looking real crazy for my guy, Steve Wilkes. He was a Carolina Panther guy here. So happy for him to come back and make adjustments, and happy for him and McCaffrey to get a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Got some Raven alums, use check, some other guys that are there that have a little piece of what happened here a decade ago as well. Dwan Edwards is our guest. When I was a young man, I heard James Taylor sing that "In My Mind, I'm Going to Carolina." And, my mom was from South Carolina in Abbeville. You've made a life down there. Give me a little insight on the Carolina life. And also, you talk about teams that are having a little problem with ownership, a little problem with stability, and a little problem with figuring it out. Our problems here are, how do we win a Super Bowl? Their problem there is, how do we get any sort of stability, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Carolina's obviously was blessed to have a good run here. Obviously it finished out well, didn't win the Super Bowl, but what a great place. Got great weather here. Obviously a little different than Buffalo.
Steve Smith never left either. When Steve would, your guys, once they go there, they don't leave. That's what I'm saying, that James Taylor song,
Yeah. Thomas Davis, another great Panther I played with. His kids go to the same school my kids did. I got two that graduated from Weddington High School down here. I coached football there. They actually won the state championship year. I didn't get a chance to coach this year, but man, they got a great program. So that kind of kept me down here. And we're 3 hours from the beach, 3 hours from the mountains. And yeah, Carolina's in trouble right now. I do like the hire. I hear he's very high energy. They're going to need it. They're going to need to hit so hard in the draft and free agency and find bonuses kind of to climb out of this hole. Obviously, no draft picks. I don't know about the owner. Obviously, he's got a short leash with anybody coming here.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, I met you. You were a young kid from Montana, just wet behind the ears. And I was like, I had already lost my franchise, had to fight to get it back and all that. Lived through the baseball owner here. I was going to say, come on, you're 42 now. It's the owner. Yeah, it's always the owner. We know that, right? But maybe you didn't know that when you're 21, but you know that when you're 42.
Oh, no doubt. And you move around a few franchises, you realize all the owners aren't the same. They're not built the same. They're not in it for the same reasons. And it's going to be tough for the Carolina Panthers. Like I don't know where
it's really hard to tell billionaires to change. Trust me, it's hard to tell tough to tell my cat to change, let alone tell a billionaire to change.
I feel bad for Bryce Young. I don't know if you'll get a good evaluation on him. It almost feels like they set the kid up for failure.
He's got his eighth coach or something. It's crazy.
I don't know how you do it. And just putting people around him, like you said, you want to, you either get pay for a great quarterback or you go young and you put pieces around him. And I don't know what kind of pieces they have around that kid. And I hope they do something to help him flourish and get better so he can kind of show the world what he can do, because it's going to be tough for the Panthers for a while, I think.
I went down to Charlotte a couple of years ago for the Ravens game, and I've been going there, most of my life. I took a bus through there when I was a young boy. I'm like, man, place grown up a little bit, Charlotte, it seemed like a good life in Charlotte. I'll be honest with you. I had a former intern of mine that made a radio career down there, and I'm like, this is, I used to think it was a little bit of a hick town. We lost expansion to Charlotte and Jacksonville, and I'm like, I don't know anything about Charlotte, but it ain't as great as Baltimore. And maybe, you can't say that because you live there and all that, but Charlotte's come a long way. It really is. I mean, you've picked an emerging town.
Oh, no doubt. It's growing. There's business down here. They're still building houses. And it's a little big city, so it gives me everything I want. I don't have Major League Baseball, but we do have a minor league team, which is for sale. But it is nice, to get to go watch football games, basketball game. I hope our Hornets get a little bit better and more consistent. But other than that, Charlotte is such a great place, great food. People are friendly, and it's not Baltimore, but it's not Buffalo, and it's not Montana, but it gives me a good mixture of everything I need here for sure.
All right, next time I come through, we'll get some Carolina Q. Come down there for a concert or do something crazy. Dwan Edwards is here, dude. It's been too long. Thanks for all you did as a player and coming out and visiting with us at the barn and South Balls and up at Piv's Pub. I have a bunch of old pictures of you and me when we were. It was clearly old because I was younger, my hair was shorter, all that was going on. But
I was bigger. I was probably bigger.
You look great, man. And for all the guys that take care of themselves, who have families they love, and they're going to live a nice, long, healthy life, I'm glad you look good. I'm glad you made a little time to come on with us. Great visiting with you, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad you're still going, Nestor. Always good to catch up.
32 years, 25 WNST. We're not going anywhere. I'm just getting started, brother. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
You got it. Dwan Edwards joining us here, former second-round draft pick of the Baltimore Ravens. Played here during some fun years for sure.
Yeah.
And some years that had some tragic endings, as we remember. I didn't do this on purpose. I thought we were going to the Super Bowl when I booked all the guests this week. Next week, we're doing a Cup of Super Bowl. It is Crab Cake Row. It begins on Monday at Fadley's. Check out BaltimorePositive.com to get all the information on that. It's brought to you by the Maryland Lottery, Win Donation, and our friends at Jiffy Lube Multicare. Big week around here. Tough times, doing a lot of purple therapy, trying to work through all of this. Going to be a long off season, but baseball pitchers and catchers report in 2 weeks. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.